Well, my case on that, Skip, is simple. I think that he had a bad game in Game 5, primarily due to foul trouble, and that he looks at Game 5 and says to himself, we were so close, we were right there. Had I played better, we would be going back to the NBA Finals. I think you could see the look on his face. It's not a big deal. It's something that happens, and that when you're great, you make up for it. They're still ahead 3-2 in this series. They have an opportunity to close them out on their home floor in Miami, and I suspect that they will do exactly that tonight in very, very convincing fashion. And I think that LeBron James is going to have an incredible game tonight. I don't want to say, let me take that back, not incredible, something that's relatively normal for him. In a 30-plus range, possibly 40 points, he's going to do significant damage tonight. Make no mistake about it. He's going to make sure he's not in foul trouble, and he's going to do his thing, and he's going to put a hurting on the Indiana Pacers, and I dare say I suspect they know it. That's how I feel about it, because I think that he's going to be on his home turf. He's going to be inspired by the crowd, inspired by going to his 4th consecutive NBA Finals, and he will be ready. When you're that great, you're that accomplished, and you've overcome the obstacles that he's been able to overcome in his professional career, a performance like this is the kind of thing that can linger if it's repeated. And I don't think he's going to let that happen, because I don't think that he wants to hear the mouths of yourself, me, or anybody else trying to rev up, issues from the past. He's not going to want that. He's not going to allow it to happen. And I think his performance tonight is going to be big time. But I also think the whole Lance Stephenson thing, it's much ado about nothing. I'm actually ashamed listening to some of the players talk, listening to some of the media and how folks are reacting to what Lance Stephenson did. It's a small thing. It's not a big deal. Have we become such sissies, such babies, that we want to make something out of nothing to this level? The guy is blowing in his ear. He's following them when they're walking over to talk to the coach. He's doing things that qualify as little irritable things that anybody who has played the game of basketball knows occurs all the time. And by the way, they're even going as far as to question whether or not this could affect his stock, because executives may not like that. What I see is a guy in Lance Stephenson who is erratic at times, who needs to continue to improve on his game, but has improved vastly, is a high-level competitor, doesn't go out there and act scared to go up against anybody, plays hard all the time, and by the way, is grossly underpaid and deserves his money. If George Hill's getting $8 million a year, don't tell me Lance Stephenson doesn't deserve at least 10. The fact that people would make this out to be some kind of issue that could actually sully his reputation or whatever is utterly ridiculous. I'm just looking at guys, and then you got guys on Miami, you're going to use the word buffoonery. You understand how that connotation being attached to somebody like Lance Stephenson could look. Why don't we be careful with our language here and understand the guy is just competing. If it worked the other night, LeBron James scored 7 points and the Miami Heat lost. How are we going to sit there and take that and look at Lance Stephenson and have a problem with him? It's ridiculous. It really is. Handle your business, go out on the court and play, and stop looking for an excuse to diminish this dude. He's just competing. That's all he's doing.
I echo your sentiments about Lance and his antics. And let me say, Stephen A. Smith, I'll be honest, I'm going to admit this publicly. I have not been very interested in this series until right now. I thought, as I said here on the air, that Game 1, which, as you remember, Indiana won at home, I thought Miami didn't take the Pacers seriously enough. The Pacers got off hot. They made some early threes. George Hill made, 3 threes, it seems like, in the first quarter. And Miami couldn't quite climb back out of that hole. Then they won, 3 in a row to go up 3-1. And I am completely with you. You can say these were desperate tactics on the part of Lance Stephenson, but they worked. I thought he did get a little bit under LeBron's skin. I thought he got a little bit inside of LeBron's head. and I don't want to harp on this, I don't want to make too big a deal of it, but in the past there have been times, even though LeBron has overcome those times again and again, but those times in which LeBron was a little mentally vulnerable, little psychologically vulnerable to opponents' trash talk or whatever. Remember, it was Lance who got fined for grabbing his throat, saying that LeBron was choking. What was that? Was that 2-3 years ago? So he started this, and he's keeping it up. 3 years ago, okay? And then remember, he said that LeBron is showing mental weakness in trash talking back at him. And then all of a sudden, we get the blowing incident, blowing in his ear. It's just little stuff. It's almost like Rucker Park stuff that I'm sure you saw growing up, Stephen A. Park kind of stuff, where it can be trash talk, it can be little antics, anything to get the opponent off his game. It worked in Game 5. I liked it, and I'm with you. To me, it enhanced Lance Stephenson's stock because of the number that he did on LeBron in that game, holding him to 2 for 10 shooting. And again, he had a lot of help because Paul George was helping on and off. But in the big picture, I'm now interested in tonight because I'm not so sure that LeBron's going to be able to respond with a monster payback kind of game. I'm not sold on that because all of a sudden the Pacers caught a little confident fire the other night. Paul George finally looked like that guy we expected him to look like, that capitalized Paul George that we thought we might see in this series. So I'm thinking Lance has high confidence. I like the way he's handled himself after the games, just shrugging and saying, just playing ball. Well, keep playing ball, Lance, because I'm going to be on the edge of my seat tonight. I think it will be a much closer game. I think even at Miami, I think the Heat will have a harder time closing this out.